Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of your favorite podcast, my favorite podcast. Someone's finally doing a podcast about video games on the internet, and it's us. You guys ready for this? You guys remember the name of this podcast? It's been a whole month. You guys remember? All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Arcade
Parlor.
Parlor.
Our clap was better.
Yeah. The clap was good.
I think it was. I'll fix it on the recording. When I push, I'll fix it up, guys. Don't worry.
He's not
I'll
gonna
tell
fix it.
Craig, you listening? Why don't you fix it up for us when I send it to you?
Look, it's not my fault. You ever get that bubble in your chest that just sits there and you know it's a burp waiting to come out? But right now it's just sitting there waiting and laughing at me. And it's going to come out at the most inappropriate time. So it's the burp's fault. It's not my fault.
It always does. It always does. Well, welcome in, everyone, to episode 15 Arcade Parlor. Today's date is November 11th. It is 3:52 p.m. Eastern Standard Daylight. What are we in now? We just had daylight savings. I think we're in standard time if it's winter.
How is it standard time now, though, if the days are so short? Why do we do the saving time when the days are super long? I don't get it. I just had a huge argument with my wife about this because we were walking our dog at 5 p.m. and it's already dark. Like, why don't we do the savings now, but we do it when the days are like 15 hours long? And I said, there's no way we are not. And I'm so confused by the whole thing. And we have to put a stop to it.
The whole thing has to do with like the farmers, right? Isn't that where it all started from? So they have the maximum amount of time daylight as possible for their plants and stuff and getting work done.
How does that make sense, though?
The plants don't care about our interpretation of time. Like, you know.
Or the farmers in all of these meetings during the day that they can't figure out, like, maybe instead of waking up at 7 o'clock every day, I should follow the sun and wake up with the sun. That's what the plants know.
Agriculture predates daylight savings, so...
It does. That is totally true. It does. The plants have always been there.
You immediately struck a nerve. I'm as mad as I've ever been. I hate all things about it. Except now it's kind of cool because we got an extra hour. But in spring, I'm even more bitter. Like, when you take an hour of sleep away from me, especially on a Sunday when Monday is work, rage. Like, genuinely angry. If you want to get my vote, that's all you have to say is, like, I'm gonna put a stop to daylight savings time. Done.
That's how you get cheese pops. That's how we get your vote.
Are there any contrarians here? Does anybody here actually like daylight savings? Like, I would rather they just do away with it, you know?
Isn't there there's a small sector of the US that doesn't affect, right?
Right.
Is there like
I
a
think
small
Arizona,
line towards the center?
I thought Arizona doesn't do anything. That's like the one thing they maybe have going for them.
Yeah.
What else is in Arizona?
I had to work with Yuma office in Arizona, and it was always so confusing because I could never tell if they were on our time or not on our time. It was a whole deal with Arizona. But how long does your car last with the wrong time on the dashboard?
I just went through a whole cycle in my car, and now the time is correct.
Wait, so you never fixed it the entire?
No.
That's impressive.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, I mostly work from home now, so my car doesn't get used a lot during the year anymore. So every time I'm in there, I just translate it in my head. Now, our primary car that we do drive as a family does have that did get updated.
By your wife, I'm sure.
You should win some sort of prize for that. If you can go the whole year without updating for daylight savings time, a whole cycle. Like, you should earn something. I don't know what it would be. This is a great start to a video game podcast. Agriculture and timekeeping. I like this. I like where this is going. This is what Paco does to us.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm in the same boat. I don't update my clocks either. And it triggers my dad. Like the only time my clocks get updated is like my dad will like manually, he'll be like, you have to update this. I'm like, no, I don't. I know what time it is. And one time he did it like a month before daylight savings, and it was just a hassle. You know, you waited one more month, you know, I don't have to like dismount it off the wall, adjust it. But
You go all that time, and then a month before.
Yeah, he's like,
something gets
you've really
changed.
got to update this. I'm like, no, I don't, you know? And I also don't rely on, like, clocks in my car or on the wall. Like, we all have smartphones. We have, like,
Right.
computers that auto-update. I'm never going to be like, oh my God, you know, I checked my car time and it says this, and, like, this is why I've missed this. So it's just unnecessary in my books.
It's funny you say that because I just saw a meme and it had an old lady with like a younger lady looking after her. And the old lady goes, "We used to tell time with needles spinning in circles." And then the younger lady's like, "Sure, Grandma, sure." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Yeah, we did." I refuse to go digital. It's like needles and circles is how we do it back in the day.
Does anybody else here use a watch in any? I mean, clear, Mike. Clearly, you do. You just showed it on your wrist here. Does anybody else use a watch?
I used to, but then when the battery dies, I'm just lazy to replace it. So I've mostly done away with the watch.
I have a collection of watches, and it's because as the battery dies, I just buy a new watch.
Same thing.
So it's weird.
I've tried.
Ever since Power Rangers. Poncho, I keep talking over you. I'm so sorry. I'm so excited.
Go.
Ever since Power Rangers, I always wanted the watch that you could talk into. And I thought, whenever we figure out smartwatches, I am going to adapt it. It's going to be the coolest thing ever. And I got one, and I hated every moment of it. It did nothing but make me angry and rage. And so I got this right after out of spite. And I've kept it alive, not because I need a watch, because I still hate smartwatches so much that I look at this and it makes me happy that I don't have a smartwatch now. That was a terrible story to interrupt you twice for. I'm sorry, David.
No, I've tried wearing watches. Like I even got a smartwatch, and like I don't know. Ever since clocks are just kind of in your pocket all the time, I don't want to wear the accessory. You know, it's just another thing to charge, another thing to maintain or whatever. And like, oh man, just having one phone, that's enough for me. Just for charging. I don't want other things I got to charge every day just to have it on my body at all times. Just another thing.
I think for me too, why I also have a watch is I never carry my phone around with me. Like the only time I have my phone is if I'm traveling or out of the house. Like it's always just sitting on the counter. I learned recently you can put text messages just on your computer. And so every time I get a text, it's just it's like on a bar on my, in Chrome. And so that's where I do all my texting from.
Oh, yeah.
And so like if I'm going to see time, if I'm just walking around going for walks, I don't take my phone with me anywhere. So I do have it for other reasons. So that story I told earlier, even more useless than it was.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help out this video game stream or this video game podcast.
Thank you for the clarification. Anyways, welcome in again. This is Arcade Parlor. Happy to have each and everybody here who is here live. We are on twitch.tv, broadcasting live to you. Thank you to those who are able to make it in here, and also to our listeners as this publishes on November 13th. Happy to have each and every one of you listening. I go around the room here. Well, let's go ahead and we've been talking for a while. Let's go ahead and intro so everybody knows who's here. I am your host, David, also known as Poncho Taco. I'm here every week, or every month, I should say. Nothing else, I guess. I really want to intro here about myself. Ashley, I also see you here. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Happy to be here today. I'm gonna do it for you because we always talk about the weather by me in my intro, and I see all my friends on Twitch and they're freezing and they're so cold and their heaters are on. Bro, it is 87 today in Florida. It is so hot. I look forward to our 1 week where it's something like below 70 maybe, but we'll be like swimming in the pool on Christmas. So it's freaking hot.
Yeah, 87 does not sound it doesn't sound appealing to me. I don't like the hot weather.
I've heard you say
Celsius, but that sounds pretty warm.
Oh yeah, oh my god, I didn't even think about that. I should have converted for you.
Yeah, what about all the viewership outside of America where they don't know Fahrenheit? I think what is that, like 27 or something? I'm just guesstimating, ballparking.
It's warm, whatever
It's
it is.
30.5
Oh, 30.5. That's pretty nice. I would take that, to be honest. I would take 30.5 over whatever's going on here. It's around 0. Freezing, whatever freezing is in Fahrenheit.
So a 32.
32, yeah. I think Celsius just makes sense. Like, freezes at 0, like below 0, freezing, above 0, and then I don't know. It just makes sense to me, and I guess the rest of the world too. But
Not much about America makes sense.
That's how we won the war, though. That's how we did it. No one could figure out how many furlongs were in there.
Yeah.
But we did it. We did it. Ashley, great to have you here. As usual, great to have you here. Keep going around the room. Mike, I see you. Welcome in.
I am Mike. I'm the intern. I'm the one struggling today. I'm doing my best. Cheese Pops. I'm excited though. Paco's a legend. This is going to be fantastic.
Absolutely. That does bring us to our guest here. Happy to have with us today, twitch.tv / the incredible Paco. Paco, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Very, very happy to be here. But yeah, I go by Paco on Twitch, the incredible Paco. I actually got that name because when I was trying to register variations of Paco, they were all taken. And I'm like, surely nobody has registered the incredible Paco, and they hadn't.
Wow.
And the name just kind of went from there. But yeah, that's me, and very, very excited to be here today.
And your name is all in caps too.
I love
the
that.
entirety of it.
All in caps, loud, proud, all of that.
It's not just the incredible Paco, it's the incredible Paco. Every time you come into chat, it's just screaming in your face.
I don't have an indoor voice, so I feel like that represents me, as the best way possible. But back when I got that name, that was actually when I was still playing Unreal Tournament and running a community, and people would always joke about me having an ego. So like the name The Incredible Paco was sort of like tongue in cheek, and then I just sort of rolled with it. But now when I'm streaming and I like screw up 100 times, they're like, I thought he said he's incredible. And it's like, no, not anymore. Like when I chose his name like a decade ago, I was less washed than I am now. But it's a bit late for a rebrand.
It kind of is. Well, Paco, it's awesome to have you here. Super excited for this episode, and our listeners will be excited as well. Yeah. So episode 15. I feel like a lot has happened since our last episode. I mean, there's been a lot of games I feel like that have come out or are just about to come out. We'll get to some of that a little bit later. We also just had Halloween. How was you guys' Halloween? Do you guys do anything for Halloween or coming up to Halloween? Like, I don't know, parties. I don't know. Do you guys do anything?
I haven't celebrated Halloween in like a long time, and now I have a baby, and I was like, please don't ring the doorbell and wake up my baby. So. But before I used to enjoy a good Halloween party, but now I'm pretty boring on that front.
Yeah, we're a bunch of nerdy gamers. We didn't do anything.
Well, I have now I have kids. One is 3 years old. The other one's going to be 1 next week. So my Halloween was obviously walking around. My 3-year-old's been for up until last month has literally been talking about Halloween every single day from the previous Halloween.
Yes. And
eventually it's like, stop talking about Halloween. You mention it every single day. It's not for a whole nother year. we need to stop talking about this. And it finally, like, up until month 11 of talking about it, she finally stopped talking about Halloween.
I love
every day.
I love Halloween. It's my favorite time of year. It's like, so the wife and I love horror movies. We pretty much every day of October, and during the daytime, we'd watch Are You Afraid of the Dark reruns from back when we were kids. And then at night, we watch horror movies. And we did a good job this year. Normally, we're creatures of habit where we'd watch the same movies we've always watched. So watch all of the Screams, Nightmare on Elm Streets. But this year, we watched stuff we've never seen before, and even watch some of the old classics like The Invisible Man, The Bride of Frankenstein, and stuff like that. was always a good time. But I love the candy. It's like, this is where I gain weight for my hibernation period. And this is my favorite type of year. And so from like Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas, I just put on 10 to 20 pounds and I love it. It feels great because it's cold, it's dark. All I need to do, like, this is prime. Halloween signals to me prime video game playing because it gets dark at 5 p.m. And when it's dark outside, like, your mom's not going to yell at you to get outside and play with your friends. You're allowed to play video games now. And so that mindset that was instilled to me when I was a wee little lad, like, it almost is still there. So now it's 6 p.m. What are you going to do? Well, I can't take the dogs for the walk. It's dark and I'm scared of the dark. So might as well play some Mega Man X3. That's a terrible Mega Man X game. Well, not bad. It's all right.
There's better ones you could be playing. For sure.
Just 1 or 2 or 4. 3's like it's good. It's just not, it's better than 5, 6, 7, 8, but the worst of the first 4.
Did we all watch Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh,
by the way?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was my
good stuff.
jam.
So
Maybe
good.
like 5-6 years ago. I think they have all the episodes on YouTube. Like, somebody just uploaded them, and I was like, oh, I'll watch one. That's like 3 hours later, and I've gone through like 8 episodes, and yeah, that was fun. I think one of the dudes who sat by the campfire, I think he's like a weatherman in Canada.
The main dude with the glasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I had
I went
such a
down
crush
that
on him
rabbit
as a
hole.
kid. I liked glasses, so he was like my crush when I was little.
He gave me hope.
He's still live on the air. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna have to look. I'll look him up.
Really?
Are You Afraid of the Dark Weatherman? It's like,
The cute girl Sam had the crush on him and not tough Frank, and that gave me hope as like a nerd kid. Like, the cute girl. There's hope for us nerds out there. But there's an episode, I don't know if you guys remember, like the silent library.
Yes.
Like, there's a drawer, like a lady had a box that would like suck in sounds, and the one kid had a little sound machine that would go pew 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 pew, and that's 100% where I got the ideas for lasers on stream. Because that little sound box being annoying, I'm like, I want one of those annoying lasers that rotates through, and then I'll just use that on stream and it'll be stupid. And then it's Are You Afraid of the Dark where that started.
Wow.
It's been a fun run since there. But some good
Nice.
the pool episode is by far the scariest one, with the invisible pool monster that they had to put like the chemicals in to see it.
Yes.
Terrifying.
Awful.
Still scared of it.
Did you guys watch? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say for me, Halloween ended up falling on a stream night for me. So I streamed on Halloween, and I dressed up like the whole month. I kind of had like a bunch of different like little costumes that I wore, but I dressed as Maleficent, and I like put so much effort into like making myself green. Like, I put like all this green like powder on my face so that I like really looked the part, and somehow like my ring light washed it all out, and I looked completely normal on stream, and I had like all this green caked all over me. It was fantastic.
All the work.
Yep.
with
That's
nothing to
awesome.
show. Oh, that's funny. Did you guys so Pops, you guys watched reruns of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Did anybody else watch anything like scary or anything? You guys into scary movies, especially in October? Or TV shows, anything?
So many new movies that, like, a lot of them were bad. Like, I mean, pretty much all horror movies are inherently terrible, but that's why I love them. There's something fun about it. It's like playing a Sonic the Hedgehog game. Like, you're going to see something like, what are they thinking? Like, what is this? And there's something just endearing about it. But those classic ones that I mentioned, Bride of Frankenstein, The Wolfman, like, if you've never seen them, they're basically like really good episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Because you're not going to get any swearing, you're going to have very minimal violence and stuff like that. But they're still fun. They're still creepy and sci-fi. And The Invisible Man, that has a soft place in my heart. I love that movie now, and it's going to be hopefully a year-long or a yearly tradition, because he's kind of a jerk. He's just an invisible jerk. And like, rarely do you just get jerks in movies that you normally have like, well, my friend died when I was a kid and I want to prevent death. Like, there's always like some good in this evil person that's their arc. No, the Invisible Man, just a jerk. Just straight up a jerk. And I love it. It makes me smile.
That's funny.
I think this is the first year I didn't actually watch like a scary movie, but I did watch some shows. every year on Netflix, Mike Flanagan puts out a new series. So I rewatched my favorite one that he's done called Midnight Mass, which is incredible.
Oh,
I really
And then
like
right
that
after that,
one.
he had the
yeah.
new show called The Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah.
That one came out. That was amazing. Usually his things are usually a pretty safe hit. They'll be really good. This one, no exception. Super good show. Just about a bunch of rich people that suddenly everything, for whatever reason, they all just keep dying one by one in the family, and it's pretty nuts. Very good show, though.
How does it stack up to the previous ones? Like I've enjoyed everything he's put out so far. But
So Midnight Mass is my favorite one he's done. I did not care for, was it the Midnight Club last year's? I think was the Midnight Club.
I guess I didn't watch that one. I did the Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of, was it Bly Manor, and then
yeah.
Midnight Mass. I saw those ones, and then House of Usher. Somebody recommended that, so that's on my to watch list.
I would say it's probably on par with like Midnight Mass quality wise. I just preferred Midnight Mass, like the setting and everything. Like it just worked for me really well.
Yeah.
But highly recommended. And I guess I did watch a movie. I did watch a movie, Gerald's Game, which is also by him.
Oh,
I guess it was on a
yeah.
Mike Flanagan thing, and that movie was good. I guess it's based off a Stephen King short story or something.
It was not that short. I read that book. It is not that short.
Is it?
It's a pretty thick one.
It might be short for Stephen King. Normally, his like 800-page novels. I don't know.
I think like Salem's Lot was like over 800 pages, and like maybe Gerald's Game was like in the 400s or so. But that book, I think I read that book in 2 days. I could not put it down. It was so incredible. And I've seen it was the HBO one, I think, right? Is it HBO who did Gerald's Game?
No, Netflix. It's a Netflix original.
They did great.
Movie.
I loved it. They changed a couple of things. I was totally cool with all the changes. A really creepy book because you're just in that one room the whole time.
Oh yeah, it's interesting how they do an entire story from one room.
Yep.
You know, but no, it was. I have not read the original book, but I have heard it's actually really close for the most part.
They did great.
Some liberties are taken, but most people are pretty okay with what they did.
Yep, 100%.
But no, that was normally I watch more scary things, but I guess this year I just didn't get around to it for whatever reason. But that was it for me. And then of course Halloween night we took the kids out, went over to my parents' house and walked around.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing is that with my daughter being 3 years old, she kind of gets you're excited for a little while, then it's over quick. So we only had to walk like one street, and she was like, "Okay, I'm done." I was like, "Good," because it's snowing and it's cold out. I want to go back, drink some coffee. So it was perfect.
Speaking of Stephen King movies, it's been a while since I watched Pet Sematary, like maybe a decade. So we watched that, and I kind of have a bone to pick with that old guy at the beginning of he's in most of the movie, but he's like, watch out for the road. Your cat's gonna die if it goes out there. So it's nice old man. I think it's the guy that plays Herman Munster. And
the original one, yeah.
Yeah,
yes, it is. I forgot. Yes,
and so the cat inevitably gets hit by a truck. Spoiler alert for a really old movie. And he's like, let me take you to this Native American burial ground, and it'll come back to life, but it'll be evil. Why? You know this, old man. You know the cat is gonna come back. Like there's so many easier options. Option 1, be honest to your daughter. Option 2, buy a lookalike cat. Option 3, Native American burial ground where evil cat comes back. And he's like, let's go with option 3. I don't see any downside here. And I was so mad. I was yelling at the screen. Like, why would you do this? Why? It's like,
it's funny you mentioned that one because I collect Stephen King books. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this before, but Pet Sematary is my most reread book. I've reread that one the most times.
So I have a question for you. Does the little girl have The Shining? Because the little girl in the movie, like, she predicts the future, she knows things, and she's like, she is in the loop. And if she says something's going to happen, 99% of the time it happens. And we had just watched The Shining as well. And I'm like, she definitely has The Shining. And I wasn't sure if that's like a consistent thing in Stephen King books that like certain kids have this special power or not. I think like 1 or 2 of the kids in it have it. And I just never put that together. But like she has The Shining. She knows what's going on, which is crazy.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I didn't know what you meant by that, but yeah, I never actually read that book, but yeah, she just know he really like takes kids and just makes like shows people like they're not just dumb kids, like they're aware and they know what's going on. Like he really showcases that a lot. But I liked the newer Pet Cemetery also, but the old one just it hits different.
Herman Munster, just what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Speaking of that, characters making me really mad. Because it's Christmas, I can relate this a little bit. Have we all seen Die Hard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The first scene in not the first scene, but when Bruce Willis gets to Nakatomi Plaza, goes in, and he's like, I'm looking for my wife, and the guy's like, use the computer. So he goes through the computer, types in, Holly McClane, not there, types in Gennaro. There she is, Holly Gennaro. He's mad because she's using her maiden name. And yeah, I'm looking for Holly Gennaro. And then the guy who pointed to the computer is like, everyone's on the 31st floor. They're at the party. Could have said that at the beginning. The only people left in the building are on the 31st floor. But he's like, you have to use our fancy new technology to find her before I help you out at all. And I still get fired up about this today. Like, what? Everyone is at the 31st floor. And you're like, I dare you to find her using our technology. I don't know who that guy is, and he ends up dying, which is unfortunate, but I still hate that man. Like, you knew
It's like the butterfly
time.
effect.
It was a deserved death.
Maybe if you didn't ask him to search, like the whole course of history moving forward could have gone differently. So
it really, he wouldn't have been mad at her. He wouldn't have fought with her because he wouldn't have known she used her maiden name. Like, it's just tell her where she is. Tell him where she is. Don't make him jump through the loops. I hate bureaucratic stuff like that. I'm still mad. I hate it.
I actually watched Die Hard for the first time maybe like 3 years ago, just because every time people brought up in chat, they're like, you haven't watched it? I'm like, no. And then I watched it and it was pretty good. Maybe I should have watched it, more than 3 years ago, but yeah.
People get big mad if you haven't seen that movie.
Yeah.
That's impressive that you did watch it. So when people tell me to watch something that I haven't done, I'm a stubborn child, and I'll be like, no, now I'm not going to watch it ever. That's because of you. It's like Celeste, the video game. Not going to play it. I don't care how good it is. Not going to do it.
Yeah,
the more you ask, the further it gets pushed out.
Yeah, I mean, people ask, going back to like 2016, I think I maybe watched in like 2020, so I deferred for 4 years, and then I just like whatever, wasn't doing anything. I actually sometimes like taking movie requests from chat and then just like watching, and if it's good, singing the praise for whoever suggested it, and if it's bad, just making fun of whoever recommended it. So that one was a good suggestion.
It is good to know that it holds up, because like I saw that as a kid, and that makes it the coolest movie of all time. But it's like if someone watches Star Wars as an adult, they're like, this is not good at all, man. Like, what are you talking about?
This might be controversial on the note of like Christmas movies and stuff we watched when we were younger. Home Alone is painful. Like when I was a kid, I loved it. But when I watch it while I'm older, I'm just like, what is this?
It's like Pop's favorite movie.
Oh no.
I get Home Alone 2 is trash, except for the end of the movie.
Get
where
out.
it is the funniest thing in the world. Like it is just this movie should be rated R, but it's a tiny kid throwing bricks at adults, and I love it.
Hitting him in the head and everything.
The first one has some one-liners in there, and like just it all builds up towards the traps at the end, and I get that, and there's a lot of unnecessary. It could literally be 20 minutes of just the traps, and I love it the same. But it's one of those movies I saw as a kid, and it'll stick with me for the rest of my life. I love it.
I still think favorably, just because when I was a kid, I loved it. But again, I watched it back, and I was just like, maybe Kid Me didn't have the greatest taste. I don't know.
My mom, she's like one of those people that like when she watches movies, she never laughs. Like she's the most lovely and warm person, but just nothing makes her laugh. Home Alone 2, you put it on, and Marv gets electrocuted and she is in tears. She is like such a slapstick physical comedy kind of person, and that whole
she needs the physical comedy.
It makes
I'm guessing
me laugh.
she would like the Three Stooges or
all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, Three Stooges hilarious. The what is there something in like a movie you guys watch that will always make you laugh? Like, for example, one thing I can think of that will always make me laugh because it's so ridiculous is that whenever somebody's in a car and they lose control and they're like barely missing everything, like flying 90 miles an hour. Everybody's freaking out, screaming, and yet they're somehow barely missing everything because it's so like, I'm like, imagine being in that situation. You're like, ah, like screaming. You're like barely, you know, it's like all gonna be safe. But I don't know why that physical comedy at that level always makes me laugh. Like it's so dumb, but it will always get me every time.
For me,
you guys remember? Do you guys watch Jump Street? 21 Jump Street or 22 Jump Street? I forget.
Yeah, the movies. Yeah. I've not seen the TV show.
I forget if it was the first or the second, but they sort of had a play on that where, like, you know, you kept waiting for an explosion to happen, but then nothing would happen. And then at the end, I think the thing carrying like a cart of chickens, that's the one that, you know, ended up having the huge explosion. Just made me kind of think of that. But like they're just there. There's like a gas tank that tips over, and everybody's just waiting, and like nothing happens, and then they're just setting up the whole movie for something to go down.
One single line in a movie that will always make me laugh is in Step Brothers, and the one dude comes in, is like, "Why are you all sweaty?" He goes, "Oh, I'm watching Cops," and I don't know why. That single line just gets me, and it's so stupid. Like, and the other brother, when he hears it, is like, "That makes sense," and just moves on with the day. And I just, for some reason, that line, that's why he's sweaty and show.
Just watching Cops. I forgot about that line. That line is incredible.
It's because he was playing on his drums, and you don't touch his drums. And his excuse for being sweaty, I wasn't playing on your drums. I'm just sitting here watching Cops, and just thinking, like, how intense do you have to be watching that show to break out into a sweat? I love that. And what's crazy is that I never used to laugh at it. I never even picked up on it. But a kid at work told me about it, and he starts crying, and it's contagious. So now that he's crying laughing about it, I'm crying laughing about it, and now every time I see it, I just can't help but just get a tear in my eye. It's such a good line.
So good. Well, let's move on here. Paco, we have you on here as our 12th guest, I think, maybe 13th guest at this point.
Sounds lucky.
We've had a few. yeah. We've had a few episodes where it's just been us, stuff like that. But I think we're at 15. I think we're on our 12th, maybe 13th guest at this point. Happy to have you on here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, I mean, you've been on Twitch for quite a while now, right? Quite a number of years.
Yeah. So I, in terms of my Twitch history, and maybe 2013, I started streaming just like very casually. And like back then I was running an Unreal Tournament community. So my first streams were actually just me like shoutcasting matches and stuff like that. And then, you know, I played Terraria, a couple other things, but I was never like too serious about it. But then in 2015, they announced that YouTube Gaming was going to have a streaming service. So I actually started like going hardcore at streaming on YouTube because I thought like YouTube was going to compete with Twitch, and I was like, you know, it might be easier to start up on a new platform. And it actually went like pretty well, but I sort of saw the writing on the wall that like YouTube wasn't actually going to try to compete with Twitch. And so I jumped over in 2016, and I been streaming on Twitch ever since then, and it's been a heck of a ride.
Now, have you? So you said you started off with Unreal Tournament, right?
Yeah.
And how long? When did you say? How long did you do that for? Like you said, shoutcasting, and eventually were you streaming it too?
Honestly, yeah, like a long time. So I actually, I haven't played too many video games. I'm the kind of person who I find a video game, I like it, I stick to it. And so when I was like 12 or 13, I downloaded the Unreal Tournament demo, and I kept playing it, you know, pretty religiously up until about 2015. And so in around like 2010, I started up like a community, started running competitions, you know, doing shoutcasts with my buddy Mr. Grins, and it was a pretty good run. Something I enjoyed. So my first viewers and some of the people who still come by my stream, they know me more from like that era of things. But I still actually play it. Like it's the year 2023. and I'll join organized pickup games and shoot the guns in Unreal Tournament still. Only 99. There's like several sequels, but I just stuck to the original.
You definitely have people still with you, because I've had people come to me and I don't know what an Unreal Tournament is, so maybe you could like give me a little bit more background. But I've had people come to me and say, "Oh, please ask Paco about the Unreal Tournament days," and I'm like, "For sure."
Yeah, so Unreal Tournament, it's this game that was made by Epic Games. Epic made Fortnite. Mm-hmm. Just a bit of background about them, but so it's this arena shooter. And it's really hardcore. I played Instagib, which was like one-shot kill, but I also played a bit of weapons. But it was one of the first games I could be like heavily modded. So like Epic puts out a game, and then you have all these people where it's kind of like Mario Maker, where like all these people make levels, they make maps, they make mods and mutators, and the community sort of grew from there. And so it's just like a really hardcore FPS arena shooter. And unfortunately, that genre is not very popular now. And I have my theories on why that is, but I think it's kind of like, it's a really steep learning curve. And like, nobody wants to join a game and get like absolutely pummeled. And so I feel like that's what arena shooters, have going against them. So like, the people who are into it, 20 years later, like there's still people who are like, keeping it going. People will probably be playing that until, maybe like Windows 18 comes out and it's no longer compatible with running a game from 99
machines and playing it still.
Yeah. Until something like that, I have a feeling people will keep playing it. But yeah, it's just honestly for me like one of the most fun games I've ever played, and that's why I stuck with it.
It's funny you talk about games that are hard, like people don't want to get into it because it's it's hardcore, right? It's super fast paced, and like you said, the version that you played was a lot of like one shot kill. Like a game like that I think is kind of cool. I'd be interested to get into if it wasn't for the barrier of everybody already being like legendary at it, is like Counter-Strike or something like that.
I played that one too. So I played that like I played it pretty hardcore for about 5 years, but I wish I played it, not just Unreal Tournament, like for those like 15 years there, because when I came over, it's tough. Like I can aim, but I didn't know like the smarts on like how should I position myself, like what should I do, when to just the like different layers to it. But I got pretty good, not like as good as I was at Unreal Tournament, but it's fun. But the thing about Counter-Strike is, if you're new, they actually have matchmaking where you'll be matched against people who are like similar skill level. So you can pick it up. Like it's not going to drop you in a game with, some like pros who are just going to dunk on you, 24/7. So yeah, it is one of those like, but the thing like Counter-Strike can do that because it has like such a huge player base. So it can sort of like filter by all these skill levels. Whereas like something more niche like arena shooters, it's like all the people who are playing it are really good. So like when new people want to try it out, it doesn't go so great.
Yeah.
And honestly, going back to that time, like people are pretty toxic. You know what I mean? Like the internet, like I think back to like playing Unreal Tournament in the early 2000s, and some of those people never grew up and they're still around playing. So it's not really inviting for new people to give it a shot. But back when I ran stuff, I was pretty ruthless. Like if people gave people a hard time, they had to deal with me. And but nowadays that doesn't really exist. So it's pretty ruthless if you want to give it a shot.
So back in the day, me and my buddies all had Sega Dreamcasts, and we all bought keyboards and mouses to play Unreal Tournament.
Wow.
And for Phantasy Star too. So if I busted out my Sega Dreamcast keyboard and mouse, you think I'd stand a chance, get a couple of kills, maybe, win a few matches. I would get wrecked.
Nice.
It was fun. I have fond memories of that game. So you think if they had better matchmaking setups for arena shooters, because I miss arena shooters. I thought they were so much fun. I thought they had like an arcade vibe to them, and then once people get really good,
like I like the arcade vibe. Like I don't like some of these shooters where it's like let's make it look as realistic as possible, and it looks like you're like shooting someone with a real gun. Like I don't know if I'm just like old fashioned. Like I like the sort of like cartoony, separation of the violence, but yeah, I think like the best attempt was a game called Diabolical, and it came out maybe like 2 years ago, and the game is so good, it's so fun, and it lasted all of 2 weeks. So
wow.
I remember something about that. Yeah, I think there's like articles put out about how short-lived it was.
Oh yeah, and the guy who was designing the game was involved with Quake, which was another early arena shooter. When I downloaded Unreal Tournament, the decisions were like Unreal Tournament, Quake, or Counter-Strike, and Counter-Strike's the only game from back then that's still going strong. But like Diabolical was just like an amazing game, and it just couldn't pick up any traction. So I don't have too much hope about arena shooters making a resurgence.
I got my heart broke with Doom 2, which is an amazing game. I love Doom 2, like the newer one that what's their faces made.
Eternal?
Doom Eternal. I love Doom Eternal.
Mhm.
The multiplayer on that was the worst thing I've ever played in my life. And I'm sure if it's good, if you like it, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying for me, I wanted like an arena shooter. I wanted to get back into that. And it was some weird monsters versus one Doom guy thing. And that broke my heart. And even the first Doom, like it had an arena shooter attached to it. Was it perfect? No. But I'm like, okay, I can get my fix and kind of move on. And I was really looking forward to putting some time into Doom Eternals. And I forget what, like the quote from the guy made me mad too. It was like, no one wants arena shooters anymore. And like, I was like, well, we don't want this either, whatever this is. I remember being super frustrated by that.
Yeah. So on the note of Unreal Tournament, they actually were going to make an Unreal Tournament sequel in 2014. And because I was like involved in running my own community, I actually got flown out to Epic to like give feedback on the game. And so I was like super, super excited. I'm like, finally, my favorite game from 1999, like they're going to remake it. And it was like a great experience, but I could tell that it wasn't really going to go anywhere. And you guys haven't heard about Unreal Tournament 4 because it's vaporware, deleted off the Epic Games Store. But this was around the time that they were working on Fortnite. And so most of the people from the Unreal Tournament team got siphoned off to Fortnite.
Wow.
And then Battle Royale took off, and the rest is history. But I wish it was Unreal Tournament that took off. That would be... It's what I was hoping for. Like, all I wanted was, my favorite game to be properly remade, and never happened. It was okay. Like, I played it, but I didn't get like super, super into it. But like, I played it a bit. I like more just, shooting the guns versus like building towers and then like trying to build around the guy who's building around me, and then I don't know.
I agree. I've never been a fan of shooting somebody and they turn into a house.
Yeah. It's like, oh, finally I see someone, and there's like a 4-story house. They've got like
yes. I honestly I've never gotten into Fortnite at all. I played a couple rounds here and there, uninstalled it, whatever. But I keep meaning to come back to it now that they've kind of done now they have like a permanent no build mode, because I'm like, okay, this actually seems like there's ideas in the game I think are super cool. Like, it's insane that you'll see John Wick shooting Spider-Man, stuff like that. That's insane, and it's super cool that stuff like that exists in a video game. Or like Kratos taking out a shotgun and shooting Frodo. I don't know, something like that. Like, that's incredible to see in a video game. It's so ridiculous. Yeah. But I keep meaning to come back to it, and I just haven't had a chance to. I just don't have the time. But I think they're doing cool things with it. It's just now they've introduced the no build. I keep meaning to come back. I just haven't.
I respect it, just not for me. Like, I don't like explore. I don't want to explore in my first person shooter. I want to shoot in my first person shooter. And then the worst feeling in the world is like, I'm exploring 15 minutes, haven't seen a person, shot in the back, you're dead. You just wasted 15 minutes. And I'm like, that was...
You just described PUBG. Yeah. That's PUBG described to perfection. PUBG. It's like somebody who you couldn't even render on your screen has taken a shot at you after you ran around for 20 minutes. So that's Sounds a lot like PUBG.
And I know that's a skill issue. I don't want to get good if I have
I'm not
to
gonna
run
say
through
it's a
that.
skill issue. That's bogus, you know.
PUBG was so jank. It was so jank.
Did any of you play H1Z1? I almost called it Z1, but I had to remember. This is my. I'm speaking with Americans right now. H1Z1.
I know what it is. I have not played it.
You didn't. That for me was the most fun battle royale release to date, and it was so broken and so terrible, but so fun. You know, like since then, there's been a bunch more polished games that came out, but they didn't recreate the magic of early H1 days. There was this thing where it was really popular in China, and there was this thing called the Red Army, and there was this guy who was streaming on DouYu, and he would join, and he had all these followers, and they would get into the same game as him. And so, you know, there's like 160 people on the server, 50 of them are wearing red t-shirts, and they called themselves the Red Army, and you would just get like zerged, and they'd be like screaming at you, and it was it was a lot of fun.
Sounds like a great time.
That actually, that's pretty funny.
It was really funny. But then if you killed him, all of a sudden the population would drop by 50 because he's re-queuing. So, but it was pretty fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, when and how did you get into Mario?
Okay, so I always loved Mario. When I was a kid, I played like Mario 1, Mario 3, then like Super Mario World. And I never really moved past Super Mario World, like up until I played Unreal Tournament. And even then, I would just play like the Donkey Kong series and Super Mario World. And so I was just browsing Twitch, and there was this thing called Super Mario Maker. And I watched 10 seconds of a stream, and I was like, you can make and upload levels. I was like, this is amazing. And so I like frantically start Googling, you know, like how can I get Super Mario Maker? And I was actually telling the story on stream the last time. But I went on, in Canada, it's called Kijiji. It's like the equivalent of Craigslist for you guys.
Okay.
And I saw, you know, somebody was selling a Wii U with Super Mario Maker for like $200 all in. And, you know, like within like 2-3 days of seeing the stream, I was in contact with this person. I picked up the Wii U, and like from there, I just started playing Mario Maker. There's like a couple things in between. When I went to pick it up, he told me that his girlfriend broke up with him, and she was the reason why he got a Wii U. And I was like, sorry, dude, as I like handed him the money and took the Wii U. But her me is still on my Wii U, so when I boot up, I just see her, and it's like,
I was
sorry
in
about your relationship, but thanks for the Wii U.
I was in your last stream, and I saw the other me, and I was like, "Who is that? Your wife?" And when you ever said that, I was dying.
Yeah.
That's the title of the episode, right? Sorry about your relationship, but thanks for the Wii U.
Yes, that's incredible.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my gosh.
So do you like creating levels, or are you just super pumped? Like, what were you more excited to get into Maker the first time you played it? Was it the creation aspect, or like getting other people?
I just wanted to play. So I just thought it's the coolest thing, you know, like, as I said, somebody who grew up loving Mario, and like I used to just speedrun playing SMW before there's any like speedrun.com or like anybody's even talking about it. I've just tried to like beat it as fast as possible. And so just playing it was the main thing for me. And I probably waited, I want to say 5 months before I made my first level. And I didn't have a stylus, and I had a Q-tip. I still have the Q-tip saved somewhere, like the Q-tip I used to make like my first 10 levels. Yeah, I used a Q-tip. But once I started making levels, I got pretty addicted to that too. And so yeah, just like playing, making, like I love all of it. Although I will say as well, like my first couple levels are just terrible. I went back and I played them maybe like a month ago, and it's like, what are you thinking? Like this was not a good choice. But you know, you learn along the way, and I feel like I get better. You know, just the more reps, the more things I make, I learn, you know, things not to do.
Your levels are mean.
I need to play these. I'm excited now. I like a mean level.
They're mean.
They might be. There's a few rude things in my levels, but that's because I think it's funny. You know, it's not mean with like a mean-spirited thing. It's more mean in the sense of when something bad happens to the player, I just find it hilarious. And so that's...
To this day, I think Kaizo blocks are the funniest thing in the world.
Same.
It's the simplest thing. Anytime anyone I watch gets wrecked by a Kaizo block, it could just be one jump at the beginning. Boom, Kaizo block dead. Hilarious to me. It will never not be funny, and I'm all in on rude levels like that.
I think it's good too though when they're not like overused, so that like when you catch one, it's pow right in the kisser. Whereas if there's always one, and I feel like there's sort of etiquette around a good Kaizo block. I think if you know it's there or you can anticipate that there might be one there, it should be easy to avoid. The ones that I think give Kaizo blocks a bad name is when it just makes the obstacle 100 times more difficult. That's when I'm thinking, maybe could have done without this one. But it's all personal preference. I try to make them so that they're not hard to avoid. Just you feel bad when you hit them.
Yeah.
What's so fun is when you get to know a creator and like you can kind of anticipate, or like they'll take 2 levels off. Like, they like putting a troll at the end of the level. You see the flagpole, there's a cliff, and the first time you play it, you get Kaizo'd to your death, and you're like, okay, I've learned my lesson. But the next 3 times you play their level, you're so tense at the end, and there's nothing there. And they just sit there and laugh at you because they know they didn't put a troll. And then finally you let your guard down a little bit, and then that's when they put the next troll in. I think that's so clever. I love it so much.
One of my most memorable ones. So my favorite level creator, I'm pretty open about it, freaking Ha. And like for me, he's such an inspiration. He's helped me a bunch with mine. But I remember playing his levels back in maybe 2017. I started playing a bunch of them. And he kept getting me at the end. And I vividly remember there was this SMB3 airship. And you go through a pipe and you see the goal. And I just remember being, like just frozen there thinking, what is he gonna do to get me? And because of the way the screen's panning, as I'm sitting there trying to analyze what's happening, all of a sudden there's torches that just pop up from the bottom that weren't visible. But the thing is, I'm sitting there for 5 seconds, so that's my penalty for just sitting there. And it was really, really well done, It wasn't like the torch went off after a second. It's me being like, what is he gonna do? Like, this is so then, and I'm like, oh my god, like, I didn't walk into it. I stood into it, and it was. I felt bad.
It's cool. It's great when creators just know someone's gonna stand here and just analyze for a second, and this is when I get them. Like
yeah.
You see that occasionally, and it's awesome when that happens. It's awesome.
Yeah, like if you can predict what the player is gonna do, there's even some times where in some of my levels, I have setups where how people like to ditch the Yoshi. I'll have like a Kaizo block when they go for the ditch. And I've seen some people feel pretty bad when they go to do it. But it was totally avoidable. You could have just touched the goal, but instead they're like, Yoshi, you're going down. And no, you're going down too, bud.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That is good. That is
karma
good.
Check at the end of the level.
And it's not because I'm like, you shouldn't kill Yoshis. It's whatever I'm feeling at the time. I just thought it would be funny because I knew some people wouldn't be able to resist.
For me, that's like a sign of a really good level creator is when you can add that troll at the end. You've killed, like, I'm dead now because of that troll, but I'm still excited to go through the level again because like the level, even to get there, is so much fun. And I love that when I don't like, I'm mad, it's funny, and like I'm never mad, it's always funny, it always has stream value too. And then to go back, and if the level's fun enough, it's like, it's the best. It's chef's kiss when you get trolled. You get to play a fun section again and you get to dodge it. Or like they do the layered troll where you get trolled, you go back and you dodge the troll into another troll. It's just, I love a good one, man.
So I think this actually does make me a mean creator, but I have this one level, I think it's something like 10 out of 20,000, so it's outrageously difficult. And you would think that after beating, the very difficult part, there wouldn't be a Kaizo to the goal. And I feel like most players would say, this level's so unreasonably difficult, surely nobody would do this, but I I did it. So I guess I am,
It's a little mean.
Just a little.
That's so mean.
And because of that, it's at 10. How many people have gotten there and just gave up? They didn't want to redo everything.
Broken
I want to say that like
controllers.
5 out of the 10, you know, probably hit it. The other few maybe saw somebody else hit it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people who hit it did not give the level a like. They beat it out of the spike because they're like, I spent 2 hours on this, you know, I'm getting on the clear. And
So many broken controllers. That has to make you like just sleep sound at night, knowing you're helping Nintendo sell controllers.
Oh man.
So
But I feel like if you
started
ditch it,
with-
you got to take it, and trust me, I've taken it. You know.
Yep.
Oh, for sure. As a streamer, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So you said you got into Mario Maker with this Wii U that was from a broken relationship.
Yes.
Was it pretty much just Mario Maker from there on out on stream?
Pretty much.
Once you got that?
No. So this was back when I started on YouTube, and I was actually streaming twice a day. So I did Mario, and then late night I would play H1. So it was like two sort of different demographics because I do like, you know, FPS shooters. I like battle royales if they're fun, and there hasn't been a fun BR in a couple of years. And so I was doing both, but eventually I transitioned to mostly Mario, and then maybe I would do like a Frag Friday and play FPS, you know, maybe one day a week. But I just find like Mario Maker is the easiest game to boot up, you know, have a good time with. And, you know, all these years later, like, I still love it. You know, I think there's something wrong with me. Like, I still love it.
I mean, like today you're playing Mario Maker 1, right?
Yeah, so I have Mario Maker 2. It's fun, but like there's something about Mario Maker 1, the physics, the ways that you could cheese and outsmart, you know, level creators. Whereas like in Mario Maker 2, they gave the Timmies a buff. And the stuff where I could, you know, outsmart them, now it's like, oh no, you have to do this obnoxious obstacle. Have fun. And it's just less fun in my opinion than 1. Like there's just certain tech and certain things you could do that you just can't do in 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I
It's
still
the
like
costume.
2. 2 is a better game, but 1 is a more fun game. And when I say better game, it's like more polished, more put together. But like what makes Mario Maker so fun is just how unpolished and goofy it is, you know? At least for me, that's what I like about it.
Endless, terrible compared to 100 Man. Costumes were so much fun, and like as you said, like there's something. It's not Nintendo making the levels, so they shouldn't be like, oh no, this is not intended. Like just let it go, you know, kind of deal. But that's from someone who would just, you know, seems like they over-regulate sometimes. But whoever said Endless was a good idea, they need to be fired, or just say like do 100 Man and then. Do you want to continue?
Whoever
Yes.
redesigned the spike hitbox, get rid of them. You know, and I don't want
that
anybody
too.
to lose their job, but whoever said, hey, we should make this pixel perfect, get them out of here. You know, or at least put them in a different department. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I do.
You can go to the mail room or something.
Yeah,
I
give
don't
them
know.
the
Just
mail room or
get 'em over
something.
there.
You know?
Let's do this right. Give them a promotion. Give them more money, but send them to the mailroom. They're not allowed to design hitboxes anymore. So they can still have a happy life and happy family, but they are not doing hitboxes anymore. I like this.
Exactly. I want them to do great. I just don't want them to have any say if Mario Maker 3 comes out on like, you know, and I think they've maxed it out. I don't think they can make that hitbox any bigger. So
Life finds a way.
I don't think so. You know what? Before we go any further, I gotta say, there's a copy pasta that's been going around that for some reason for the longest time I thought it was about you. It's about the Paco
Gutierrez. Yeah, no,
Yes.
different Paco.
Yeah, like I heard it recently in a stream like a couple weeks ago. It suddenly, I don't know. This is from something a couple of years ago, but for some reason the copy pasta has gotten big again. And I only half paid attention to it and I saw your like Paco in their net. I just assumed it was like somebody made some weird copy pasta about you, and it just kept going. And I just see it repeatedly in streams, and I was just like, okay, apparently, Paco's back. So somebody made some copy pasta and is putting it out there. And for some reason, for the longest time, I thought it was about you until actually this morning I looked it up because I was like, is this actually about him? He's gonna be our guest here. Let me see if this is actually about him.
No, I think it's the 9-year-old. Was he from Venezuela? And
yeah,
the Nintendo lawyers came for him. They haven't come for me yet, so.
They haven't come for you cheesing their levels too much or breaking their games.
Yeah.
So your streaming career, we know, Mario Maker 1 came out, 2 came out in 2019. Is that correct? 2019.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I'm sure you played that for a good while.
Yeah.
And then 2020 hit, right? And we had, all the big lockdown and stuff. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? I know you had to step away for a while.
Yeah, I have probably like a different outlook on the lockdown because I got like sick at the start of the pandemic, and then I've mostly been sick ever since then. So I came back for like half a year last year, and then I'm back now where I'm doing like a lot better than I was before. But I'll just say I wish I was like streaming and like doing stuff because like for me like I love streaming. It's fun, and to not be able to do it, it sucks. And just like on another note, it blows my mind that like people still watch me because I've been gone for so long. Like in streaming, it's one of those things like if you're not there, like the world keeps spinning even if you're not there. And so the fact that like my community still comes by my streams and like people still stop by, I think it's pretty cool, and I'm humbled by that.
Oh, that's definitely awesome. Like, because you had a time and you were off for like about a year or so. And you came back for a little bit, and then same thing. Had to take some time off again, and now you're back. Because before you were pretty much full-time streamer, right? Was that your source of income for at least for you personally? Yeah.
That was I was full-time, and then on top of Twitch, I was also doing YouTube. So I was putting out several videos a week, and it actually came out like, there was no good time to get chronically ill, but like I felt like my channel and everything was doing like really, really well. And then 2019 honestly was my best year. I felt like everything was going great. And then, things happen, but I'm just happy to be back. Like right now I'm streaming just once a week. Like I'm hoping to get up to 2 days, and from there, keep going up. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's just something that I've like missed. Like I love it, Like I don't know if you come by my stream, like I enjoy being there. Like I've always enjoyed it. So being away has not been fun.
For me, I met Paco while he was on hiatus, and I had never seen your stream before. I had heard of you as I was in the Mario community and stuff, but I had never actually been to a Paco stream. And I was so excited, like, just to finally like see what it was like. And your comeback stream was incredible. It was so hype. I had never heard the theme song, The Incredible Paco, the hype, the people, and I didn't know how you were as a streamer. Like I only had known you in the communities and when you pop on my stream. And something I'm always so impressed by with you. You have so many people in that stream, and you read everything. You acknowledge everyone. I'll be in streams where like there's 9 people there and the streamer misses half of chat. You make every single person feel so important and so special. That's a gift. I don't know how you do it, how you can read all those messages all the time and like respond to everybody and play the game with so many people there. It's just crazy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I'm just really good at like reading peripherals where I can like play and read at the same time. I used to be even better, but like I'm still doing okay. I also used to have a knack where I used to have just like really, really good memory where somebody could write something in my chat and I would remember something they wrote 4 years ago when they're not even a regular. I don't have that anymore. I'm still pretty good though, but I actually freaked someone out because this was like back in the day when I was still streaming on YouTube. somebody submitted me a level, and I remembered their user ID, and that was their Twitch username. And I was like, oh, I remember playing your level. They're like, I've never been to this stream before. And I like brought up their profile. I'm like, no, I beat your level. And they're like, oh, that's really weird that you remember that. But I used to used to have that going. As I said, I feel like I'm getting it back though, slowly. But I appreciate the kind words. Honestly, that's very, very nice of you to say, and nice to hear. So thank you.
Absolutely. Like, I think, let's see, I think I found you like a Slade raid way back in the day or something like that, back in 2019, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool. Yeah, it's cool to see. I mean, yeah, obviously you took time off and stuff, but when you come back, I mean, you get everybody's coming in there, you got everyone raiding you, and everyone's all excited. And that's awesome to see that, the community rallying behind, a loved person who, used to be a regular and is trying to come back and everything. That's awesome to see.
Yeah. And honestly, so yeah, even just, this is like kind of an aside, but it's related. In the years 2016 up until 2020, like I didn't really take any time off. I was like super freaked out that, it's like the mindset of you're doing a stream, if you're not there, like as I said, the world moves on. And so I now realize that, I probably could have taken a week here, taken a week there, seeing how I, took a year, and a lot of people are still there. So that's one of those things that like, I wish I didn't have to have what happened to learn that. But yeah, I just think back to, I totally could have taken a day or two here and there and like not panicked about, not there. Because I don't know, for me personally, like I put like a lot of pressure on myself, and I guess I just put like a lot that it's like, oh, you don't want to take time off, you don't want to do this, that. But yeah, after missing like 2 3/4 years out of like the last 3.5 years, I've realized that I probably could have taken a day or two or even 3.
I'm a huge WWE fan, wrestling fan. I love professional wrestling and like the entertainment aspect of it. And for me, Twitch is something very similar. Like you can have these characters, you have it, but it's year round. It's week to week, and listening to a lot of wrestlers talk when they get injured and they go out sounds so similar because they're like their comeback, they're nervous, or the fans gonna remember me. They're sweaty, and like they all come back with the same thing. It's super emotional. They're so glad to be back. They probably could have spent more time with their family. And I'll tell you from my perspective, if I take 2 days off, terrified. If I get to the 3rd day, I'm like, well, it's back to square one for me. And so I still have that mindset you're talking about, but you put so much like love and effort into it. So I'm trying to be like, it's okay, spend time with your wife, dude. Like you're allowed to take these days off, but I totally feel that.
I promise you're allowed. I promise. You can trust me on that. Like, as I said, like, I mean, there's like a balance, but I think just for me, like, I probably had a really bad balance where it's like, no, like, you can't, like, you got to do this, you got to do that. And then, yeah, I just learned that, you need a day, take the day, or like, you need a week, take the week. That's just, my mindset going forward.
I mean, I don't stream for a career by any means. I have a full-time job, but I take streaming really, really seriously, and I have the same thing. If I'm having a day where I'm just like, I don't think I can bring it today, I struggle with like taking it. I'll go to Pancho Taco and Cheese Pops and be like, they're gonna forget me. They're gonna find somebody else, and it's so important to put yourself first and put that in perspective, because Pops has said this to me multiple times, like if you're not going to bring your all, like and have a good time, take a day. Take it from us, anyone listening who is a streamer. Like if you need a day, take your day, recharge, come back stronger than ever. Because like if anything, Paco is a beautiful example of that, because his people came back and he didn't just take a day off. He took all the time that he needed in months and months, and there they are. And I see people, I'm in every Paco stream, and I see people, with over 70 months in there, and they never stop subbing to him. Your people love you for who you are. So you gotta have something in your cup to pour to others. So if you need to take the time, take the time.
Yeah, as I said, very, very humbling. And also, I can tell you, if you need, honestly, all of you, if you need a day, honestly, take the day. And my mindset too, I did, sometimes take days back in the day, but that was more like, instead of planning fun things, it was more like reactive. Like if I, didn't feel great or I wasn't in a good mood. And like my philosophy too, most of the days that I took up until 2020 were, days where I was like, I can't put on a good show. And, I'd rather put on no show than like have somebody come and I'm in like a bad mood. And then when they click off my stream, I don't want to like pass on those vibes to anyone else. So like the days that I did take were the ones where I was like, I just didn't have it. But I'm also fortunate because sometimes too, like my chat is pretty funny. Like the days where I wasn't like, here, even if I was like here, I feel like they could like make up the difference and sort of like carry me across the finish line and be entertaining. Yeah, because honestly, like I could just sit there and not even say anything, and they'd probably be like cracking themselves up and cracking me up. So
that's what's so cool, because you get that, like there's that leeway. Like I can be 50% to 100. I'm gonna stream because you're gonna hit go live, and it's gonna be hard to hit go live. But once you do, there's that one jerk that just knows how to make fun of you. And like that's all you need is that one person's like, hey, what's up, jerk face? Were you ready to be terrible at Mario? And you're like, you know what? Yeah, that's exactly what I feel like doing, is being terrible at Mario. But it's just it's when you're below that 50 line where like, you know what? Maybe that's your one chance to impress this one viewer, and maybe you'll have a viewer for life, but you just went in and just were like, bleh. And now you'll never get another shot at it. That's where you just got to take it.
Exactly. Like there's that threshold, and like for me before, it's like if I can't hit this threshold, I don't want to. But there's other times where I was like borderline. But as I said, just like chat being able to, do their own thing. And honestly, I'm convinced some people come to my chat just to like see some of the other chatters. It's not even me. They're like, what's this? Why is this guy on the screen? Like, I'm gonna stop talking. They're just like going back and forth with one another, and I don't know. I like it. I feel like I got a pretty cool community of people who stop through.
I think the Mario community is they're so like there's a good mix, but the majority are super good-hearted. Just want to have fun. Just want to see the streamer get trolled and just enjoy their time. And like it's such a cool escape. And literally everyone, even if it's like SMW ROM hack community, I don't know why I said it that way. I love the ROM hack community. Like everyone in the Mario community is welcoming, wants to see each other succeed. And it's been a blessing, because I've seen other communities, like it's like going back to Xbox 360 toxicity days. Like you got to know everyone or else no one's going to talk to you. Like you have to be in this stream for at least a year before you get acknowledged and things like that. And it's not the case with Mario.
Yeah, like for me, I would say most of the streams that I watch are within the Mario community. And sometimes when I like branch out and go to like different areas, it's almost like culture shock, just seeing like how different things are. Whereas like a lot of the streamers and viewers and people in Mario, I'm like, these are people who I relate to and like. And then that's not to say there's not people who I don't like outside of it. It's just, a lot easier to find people that I like, within the community than when I branch out and go other places.
I think that sometimes we don't even realize like how lucky that we are in the Mario community, because especially in Mario Maker, because there's trolls and people who want you to play my level, but then there's the bulk of the community that wants to help you. And I have like a specific memory of one night, and I had just started my Get Good challenge in Mario Maker, and I was doing the expert levels, which are not difficult levels, but I was so new, and Paco was in my stream, and I was taking like 2 hours on this level, and all I had to do was like up throw shells, and it was so simple. It was something that I could now probably do in 3 minutes, but he stayed the whole time. And I remember Paco, I don't know if you remember this. You were like, I'm going to hold my breath. Was that when
I was holding my breath?
Yes, when you were holding your breath. I was just going to say that. You were like, I'm going to hold my breath until you beat the level.
That's so good. I'm stealing that everywhere now.
Yeah, and then I was like, Paco, you're not going to be around very long if you hold your breath. And then I beat the level that try.
Yeah, I just remember you're like, it's not gonna go so hot for you, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, I did it.
I did it.
Like,
That's so good. If you don't beat this level, I'll probably die. Good luck, though.
yeah, no pressure.
That's so awesome.
I'll be passed out on the floor here.
Oh, I love that.
The other thing that's cool about I mean, the Mario community too is that, I mean, like it's not huge. I mean, it's big, but it's not this massive thing, right? You can usually pop in any stream and you'll recognize at least somebody,
Right.
you know, and be like, oh, yo, what's up? You know, whatever. And that in and of itself is pretty cool. You know, it's nobody, I mean, people have their preferred streamer. Nobody's like an exclusive streamer to like these 200 people only watch this person, you know, stuff like that. It is all shared throughout. Everybody knows everybody. And it because of the size, and I mean, and now albeit it is smaller than it, you know, as games progress and stuff like that, it is smaller now, which hopefully it'll regrow at some point with some things maybe that'll come out in the future. I don't know, but it is cool because everything is being part of a smaller thing. You know, first off, it helps boost streamers because, you know, there's fewer people to watch. It's not like you got to scroll like 400 streamers to find one specific person. You know, you go and like right now, Mario Maker 2, I don't know, it probably has like maybe like right now, I'm going to guess like maybe 3 rows of people streaming it. So, I mean, like, and you probably recognize the names. And so it is kind of cool. I mean, it hasn't always been like that, but it is now.
Yeah.
So just being a smaller thing, you know, it does help streamers, you know, streamers get to affiliate pretty quick, streaming Mario exclusively, stuff like that. And it is kind of cool to see that, though.
It's interesting to see how things change. Like back in the day, the thing is like there's probably 20 people doing viewer levels at any one time. Whereas I feel like in Mario Maker 2, it was less of a thing, and especially now, I don't think there's as many people who are doing. I mean, there still are. It's just like before, it was like guaranteed if you made a level, you know, you could pick between like, and people would go to like see how big the list was to see if they were gonna get in. Like, is it random? Are they going in order? And then you would have all these dump and runners, and like everybody would be able to like spot out the dump and runner because your community knows who like the regulars are, and somebody's just adding a code. Meanwhile, you're doing like 100 Mario, and somebody's adding a code. It's like, dude, you're not even reading the stream description. Like,
I feel like that's definitely less nowadays. Like I don't really stream Mario Maker anymore. It's been a long time since I've done it, but like even when I was towards the end of it, there wasn't as many like play my level streamer. Like that meme kind of is dead to an extent now.
I think it was more of a Mario Maker 1 kind of thing. And yeah, I just vividly remember you'd have like 5 people minimum a stream just dumping running, like putting a code in, and it was just fun to like spot them out and sometimes make fun of them.
And you could always see it because they would have come in and they would just write, all they would write is hi, hit enter.
Yes.
And then wait about 2 minutes, 30 seconds later, and suddenly there's be add code. And then that's yes. But they would always start off just hi, first time chatter.
So some had a formula, others were just straight up dump and runners, like no formalities, just like add code, you know? They were just
I feel like
getting
Cheese
down
Pops,
to business.
it has a special stream. Cheese Pops, you primarily do viewer levels in Mario Maker 2. And it's got to be like how you run the show, but I feel like 95% of the time people are so respectful and super cool. Like you get the trolls every once in a while, but like I don't know, for a viewer level like stream, it runs better than any other viewer level stream I ever watched.
There was a lot of hard lessons along the way. The biggest one, if the level's terrible, I'm not going to say it's terrible. I'm just going to stop playing and moving on because if it's a kid, the last thing I want is to be like, hey kid, like even if it's a play my level person, like I was 13 too, I would probably hate 13-year-old me. And like 13-year-olds grow up in the community, and every time I see play my level, my first reaction is to get annoyed. My second reaction is like, okay, we got a kid in the Mario community, especially this late into it. That's a good thing. I want as many people in here making levels as possible. So I'll try to be gentle, but there is a point where they start like interfering with the stream. and you kind of got to be like, I try to make a joke out of it. Like my most recent favorite one was like, it's hard being 13, you know, you're starting to get hair where you didn't have hair. You're worrying about getting dates and trying to make fun without making fun of the kid specifically. But that's the hardest lesson. If a level's terrible, don't suffer through it unless you're having fun with it. Like there's terrible and then there's fun terrible. And like once you learn that, like I'm not going to say this level's trash and never make a level again because I want them to make more levels. I'm just going to go play one of my favorite creator levels and then I'll do a couple of those and then I'll go back. I changed the title from viewer levels to viewer level. And for me, that's so I'll get one in there. That's the secret.
I think for me, like I tried never to be mean to people. Like I might like make fun of the levels a little bit, but the one exception I have, if I stumble on a dev exit, I will roast. Like I don't care if you're 13, 26, 39. I'm going by, increments of 13 here. If I find your dev exit, you are getting roasted, like 100%.
You gotta learn at some point. If you're willing to put it out there.
I don't care if you're 6, you're getting roasted. I found your dev exit and you should feel bad. But
I think my rule is if I make fun of your level, that means I like you and I know you can handle it kind of deal. Mm-hmm. If I'm super nice and the level is terrible, it's like I don't know this person yet. And I try to make it so regulars can see in my face. Like, okay, this is something special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we know the people in your stream who are like, I mean, you just tell them how terrible their level is, but you know the people, you know your audience, who you could say this level is the worst. Oh, this person's up. Oh, guaranteed, I'm gonna hate this level.
No, they can take it, but now I have to respect. The master, if I find a dev exit, I am now just going to be the most toxic person I can see. It's like, this is the way. All right, look me in the eye. This is the worst level I've ever played in my life. You should feel bad. Uninstall the game. Return your system. Start reading books, because this level creating thing isn't for you. You're going to have to be good at math or something. You better hope you're beautiful. All right, next level.
I just feel like they have it coming, like they make this outrageously difficult thing which might not even be possible, but there's this just, one little trick they have to get through. There's actually a viewer I have now, and I still remember he gave me some consistency level where I had to do something like 500 shell jumps, and then I found the key, and I roasted him, but he still watches, so we're good.
That's the one thing I miss with 1, because you could just download the level quickly or like try sections out.
Yeah.
Because the creator gets that advantage too. Like the creator can practice each section and then go through the gauntlet. And I sort of see why they got rid of it, but at the same time, there's if I want to play
they should not have gotten rid of it. That was a terrible decision. So I used to be probably, I'll say like 97% of the levels I got. Like if I'm doing super expert, I lose to the level. I would say 90+% of the time I would want to beat it, but I would download it and I would practice a section, or I would download it and look and say, okay, I can beat this. Like I know what to do. But in Maker 2, if you get something that's outrageously difficult, you don't know how much is coming up. Like you can't practice a section where you're like 2 minutes into this hardcore level. I'm just not going to sit there all stream and play it. And so I feel like that was something else where I think it got worse, because for me, it was satisfying to beat levels that beat me, but I'm just not going to commit to something where I don't know how much is left or what to do or if I'll be able to do a part of it.
It made it harder on good creators too, because now they have to put like, good creator will have those doors that like jump forward sections so they can show you and they don't want to have to do that.
I hate that. If a level has a door where I have to practice a section, I'm not playing that level. And I used to play really hardcore levels, but if I have to go through doors to practice this part, like I'm just not gonna play it.
You just rather like just download it and go to that specific section.
Exactly. And then less time wasted versus, like takes like 3 seconds for the screen to start over. Then there's like another second to get to the door, another second for the transition, and it's just unnecessary. I mean, it's not the creator's fault. It's just for me as a player, it's not fun for me to
that much
to go through all that just to play a level. Yeah.
And like why they would do it, take it away is like, well, you want to be surprised. I can still, if I want to be surprised by a level, I can still play it the old-fashioned way. I can still do that, but there's so much the pros versus the cons. Like, why get rid of that? What's the point? Like, who is that helping? That one kid that doesn't want people to find their dev exits? Like, let me practice these really tough levels.
It could be like a cost-saving thing because it's less fun. People upload less levels, play less levels, and that's less burden on the Nintendo servers. So maybe they're just thinking ahead with that one.
Let's have less fun. You know, I would say that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, but then it's Nintendo, which I'm the biggest Nintendo fanboy. It's just some of their decisions I don't get it, but
like they got their money for Mario Maker 2. I don't think too many people are buying it at this point. So if people were to just stop playing it and uploading to it, I'm sure they wouldn't really have a problem.
Yeah. That's a shame.
It is. It is.
I'm like you. I had fun with it. Like, I'm only a couple of thousand hours in, and I didn't really play one that much, but I watched one a ton. ROM hacks a ton. And so when I finally started streaming, I'm like, I'm going to be a Castlevania speedrunner. And then I realized that was really hard. And then just hitting go live and playing other people's level, not as hard and so much more fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's a blast. And you don't have to prepare for a stream. You just go in and people bring you levels, which is super convenient. And like, I want more. I want more, but like, as you said, like, Nintendo is just going to let it dry up for a while. But luckily there's still a lot of levels out there I can go back and play, and ROM hacks are everywhere.
For me, I was so disappointed when, they had DLC, they would put out an update, and every time they added new items or new things, the game would just get this spike. And how hard is it for them? Even if, once every 6 months they add 2 extra enemies or they give a new tile set, like anything like that would breathe so much life and interest into the game. And instead, within a year, they're like, this is all you got, bye. And
I talk about that every podcast. It was the worst. I threw a chair through a window, metaphorically, because they literally and we're never updating this again. I have never seen that before.
They could have left it open-ended. They could have been like, maybe there's stuff in the future, and they're like, no, we're done.
There will be no Christmas this year.
Any potential excitement, even though it was never going to happen, we're just confirming. Done. This is the final update.
Just
anything from here on out, we will be removing features. No new features will be added. And it's like,
you can only create with snake blocks and blowy joeys from now on. The deluxe edition.
Yeah.
You just got me super mad. That was the worst day of my life. Literally, the worst day of my life is when they're like, we're never updating it again. Why say that? They've never said that with any other game in history. I still think Double Dash is going to get DLC. Yeah. There's a chance.
Yeah. I won't say which finger they held up to the community because it's a PG podcast, but they definitely held one up, I'll say. And it wasn't the thumb.
I think they did.
It wasn't the thumb.
No. And it was so early in the life still.
Yeah.
And I think they're just like, all right, dump everything, we're out. Because it was such a huge update, which they brought a ton to it. But I think they had a plan to drag it out a lot longer, which would have been I've been okay with.
It seemed rushed. They just dumped the stuff. It looked like they had a slot. I think people were hypothesizing that maybe Mario 2 was going to have its own mode. And then all of a sudden they were like, no, we'll just make it a power up.
Right.
And I just remember being stunned. I'm like, wait, that's it? We're done here? And here I am. It's 2023. Still stunned, still shocked.
Right.
Actually, I'm not. It's Nintendo. I'm disappointed. I'm not stunned or shocked. I have no expectations for Nintendo. I love their games. I don't love the company. I don't.
They could have just did the Tanuki suit. What's the one where you could turn into the statue and stomp down?
Yeah.
People would have loved that. Thousands of people would have opened the game again just to hit the down button and turn into a statue and be like, wow, I'm a statue.
Right? That's simple. Hammer Brothers suit?
It's wild to me because I'm looking it up now. Mario Kart 8, originally released May 29th of 2014, just got DLC in the last week or something like that.
A couple days ago.
Yeah, the final, and they're done with it, it sounds like. They've actually added a thank you for playing now to the final one. But 10 years later, I know I had a re-release, but 10 years later, Mario Kart 8, and I understand it's like their number one selling Switch game of all time, but it just got 10-year-old game got DLC. And that was announced out of like nowhere that they were going to suddenly start supporting this game for like the next 2 years or year and a half, whatever they did. And they dropped a whole ton of stuff that people like. And they went really into that game. I don't know why they chose. I mean, I understand it's the biggest selling game, but they really went hard into that game out of nowhere and really beefed it up.
Yeah.
I think Nintendo really doesn't understand how much the Twitch and online community means to the Mario brand. Like, every time GDQ is on, the one time it's guaranteed to be packed with a crowd of people cheering. Super Mario World and Mario Maker. Those two are all, it's not for Mario on the Wii U. It's not New Super Mario Bros. 2 Deluxe. It's not those games. It's the games that the fans have kept alive. And so people like Paco, people out there making ROM hacks, people streaming it on Twitch are so huge to the point where like kids are coming in. Kids don't know anything about like, half of the sequels, but they still know Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario World and the ROM hacks, and they're into those. They don't want to play the game, like things like that. And then the movie comes out, the brand is bigger than ever because it's just such a huge community. And I think, Mario Maker and ROM hacking community has been a huge part of, like, that's what sucked me into Twitch.
Yeah, me too.
Like ROM hacking and Mario Maker.
Me
like
too.
This is the coolest thing ever. It's not. If it was just Super Mario Brothers U, I'm out,
Nintendo hates ROM hacks, I'll tell you that.
Oh, they sure
do. They
do.
hate it. Also, it's like a company.
I don't think they've ever like acknowledged ROM hacks exist. We know they hate them, but I don't think Nintendo has ever like acknowledged in any sense that they exist, right?
They kind of have, and it's sort of. I mean, like I know they previously have DMCA'd some people over it, and I know like when Mario Maker 1 came out, they actually DMCA'd Panga's pretty much whole channel, like anything with a task, they were taking it out. So
wow.
So they're aware and they're sort of threatening. They just haven't done much yet. But as a company, I feel like they're maybe a decade behind a lot of other companies where, a lot of companies, they'll actually pay people to stream the game. Like they want to grow the audience, leverage that. Whereas Nintendo, up until maybe 5 years ago, initially, they were like, no, you can't stream or do anything. And then they had the Nintendo Partner Program. And then finally, they were like, okay, you can monetize and stream and upload Nintendo content. But even then, there's like a bunch of rules that are associated with it. But back when I first started making videos for Mario Maker in like 2016, there was the Partner Program. And I joined initially. And a couple 100,000 views, and they paid me like 8 cents. Whereas, the people who weren't in the program and were going around the system, like you were actually making money. So eventually, Nintendo allowed people to do it, but like anybody who actually joined their program, they were just paying pennies,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So. And I don't think we said it, but when you were Twitch partner, was that after Mario Maker?
That was after Mario Maker.
That all happened?
Yeah. So
okay.
I think I got Twitch partner in 2017. I want to say It took about a year. And yeah, it was. I actually got rejected. I think 3 times, or maybe I got it on my 3rd time. I don't remember. But I think right now they have it where, like, if there's criteria you hit, there's actually, like, a path to get it. Whereas back then, it felt more subjective. Like, I thought I was hitting a bunch of the metrics, and they're just like, nah, sorry, bud. You're not partner eligible yet. But yeah, eventually I hit it in 2017.
So when you were applying for partner, like you said, there's a thing called, like, path to partner. You have to meet this. There's, like, 3 requirements. And I think now they even say it has to be like 3 months worth of that. And they added recently in the past like month or something. You have to do it for at least 3 months to even like start applying. But So at the time when you did it, there really wasn't any requirements. It was just like you submit your case to Twitch.
Yeah,
and then
pretty
they review
much.
and they see, are you partner quality, and then they decide that.
Yeah, like are you partner worthy? And the first few times they rebuffed me, but I honestly I was kind of surprised. But again, like the criteria and what they were looking for, it's going back to 2016, things have shifted quite a bit. But I never put too much emphasis on making partner. Like for me, it's sort of one of those things like, let's say like Twitch hits you over the head with like the partner wand and you're a partner. It's like once you hit partner, it's not done. You know what I mean? Like you got to keep doing your thing. And it's like, if you do it the right way and you build up your stream and your community, then I feel like things sort of fall into place. So my focus was just sort of, put on, try to put on a good show and, keep growing the community. And ultimately that's how it worked out for me. But like, yeah, I don't know. I just, like, as I said, I feel like getting partner was just part of the process, not like the goal. Because again, like once you get the check mark and you get partner, you're not any different. You just have partner and a check mark now. And now it's like, just going forward, it's still...
It's also like, I mean, it's a great achievement to get. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's cool. Hey, you did the work. Look what you did. That's great. But they've definitely blurred the lines a lot these days as to the differences between. Like, yeah, it's cool. You got the check mark. I mean, you did good work. That should be acknowledged. You did get that. You have this check mark. That's awesome. But they definitely have blurred the lines. I mean, I think now the only difference is that you do get potentially ad incentives that, from what I understand, are not as good anymore as they once were. And then
emote slots.
Otherwise, I think it's just more emotes for the most part.
Like the difference between partner and affiliate, even back in 2016, it wasn't that large. The thing for me, like the thing I was most interested in, now almost everybody gets transcoding. Whereas back in 2016, there was actually this workaround where sometimes if I didn't get transcoding, I would just tell my viewers at the start, I'm like, I'm going offline and starting again. And like, I did the old, have you tried turning it on and off again? And like, if I didn't get it by the third try, I'm just like, sorry guys, I'm going to set the bit rate down to 1800. But if I got it, then I could do higher bit rate. And so when I no longer had to worry about the on and off game, that was pretty good. That was probably the biggest thing that changed for me after I got partner. Just not worrying about, because people are watching on mobile, people are watching on like horrible Wi-Fi connections. And I think something, especially back then, people would focus too much on, making their stream look good versus having it be consumable. Whereas transcoding takes care of a lot of that now.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like when I started, I don't know, 2 years ago, that was I did the same thing. I'm gonna restart it real quick. Within the first like 10 seconds, let me restart it like 2 to 3 times. If I don't get it,
you really did do
that. Then maybe I'll put my bit rate down a little bit to make it a little bit more accessible. I know you're gonna suffer in other areas, but I'll bump it from 6 to like 45 or something like that. Bring it down a little bit, and just to make it more accessible. But now it's like. And I don't know, like, honestly, when we stream Arcade Parlor to the Twitch, the first couple months we did this, we did not have transcoding. Now we have it on here. Like I just checked a moment ago, and we actually do have the transcoding. And I don't know if they also measure okay, if somebody's streaming for a year, they only have one viewer. I mean, is there any prioritization there where they're just like, we're just not going to give this person transcoding, whereas somebody who regularly brings in like 20 people or something like that, they're going to get prioritized. Like, I don't know the inner workings of what they have going on back there, but there might be some of that going on too at the affiliate level. I know partner is guaranteed. Affiliate, I mean, it's been years at this point since I've not had transcoding.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't, like, all the affiliate streams I watch, all of them have that option. So they either, buffed their systems where they can offer it to more people now, or just as you said, maybe like there's a certain threshold where it kicks in, but I notice it's less of a thing now compared to even like 5-6 years ago.
It could also, and this is just me running my mind at this point, the COVID bubble has popped a lot, right? So there's fewer streamers than there were 3 years ago.
Right.
3 years ago, like everybody was streaming because there's nothing else to do. So maybe like if we buff the systems ourselves because people just stopped streaming,
Are there
now
less?
it's just more available.
I would be curious about the statistics because I feel like there's always people giving it a try. Like the amount of competition for streaming, like it was hard in 2016. In 2023, if you're starting out, it is so much harder now. There's so many streams. So yeah,
Yes.
I imagine it probably did peak, early 2020, 2021, but I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers are still going up because like I feel like Twitch is going more mainstream. When I talked about Twitch 7 years ago, a bunch of people were like, "Oh, maybe I heard about that." Whereas now it's more of a household name. So yeah, I'd be curious just in terms of streamers and viewers, etc. if that number is
it might even be like maybe it's the inverse. Maybe like people streaming is about the same, if not higher. Maybe just the viewership is a little bit lower because people are returning back to work. They don't have as much free time, during the working day to watch.
80% of my viewers are watching from work. I'll say that much.
Yeah. It's me working from home. I always have something up on the side as just.
Oh no, they're in the
noise,
office. They got me on like 1%. Anything more than 1%, and I'm gonna bust them when I shriek. But
yes. Oh man. So no, that's cool to hear. That's cool to hear how you starting on Twitch and where you are today and how everybody they're still coming back and listen and watching you and having a great time. That's awesome. Let's talk about the last month. I feel like things and even in the next week in particular, things have happened.
Oh yeah,
in the gaming space, right? We had Mario Wonder come out, which was the first 2D Mario game since whatever those NSMBU. I never played games, so it was actually like a good one. And and now next week we have the Super Mario RPG remake, which is pretty rad. And then on top of that, going back to the community, we have the massive release of Grand Poo World 3.
Oh, I can't wait.
Like Mario community, Mario players, people who are plugged in online in the sense are eating good these 30 days here.
It's ridiculous.
That's some big things.
It's ridiculous. We have a brand new, beautiful, amazing 2D Mario game. It was incredible. It was whimsical. Wonder was so fun. And then at midnight, Thursday into Friday, we're getting SMRPG. I can't wait. I'm going to play it at midnight as soon as it comes out. I've never played SMRPG. Cannot wait. I'm so excited to see it. I'm so excited to try it. And then everybody in the ROM hack community has been counting down the days for Grand Poo World 3. I'm going to play Grand Poo World 3 and I've never played one. I am not of the skill level. I just want to be part of the hype. I want to be part of everybody who has been talking about this for years and months and weeks and days now. And everybody is talking about Grand Poo World 3 right now.
I'm super excited, because I'm the same as you. That's Grand Poo World 2 and GDQ, why I'm on Twitch. And I said by the time Grand Poo World 3 came out, I will be good at ROM hacks. I am actively worse at ROM hacks now than when I said it. And I have been streaming nothing but Mario for 3 years. But you know what? I'm still going to play that first level and have fun and laugh and maybe, just to be a part of it, as you said.
Right.
For me, Mario RPG, I don't care at all because Mario RPG was amazing, is still amazing on the Super Nintendo. But I played it a million times. And I think it was you who said, well, it's not for you then, but you haven't played it. And it's super exciting that now you're going to get a chance to, kids that would not go back and play a retro game are going to be able to play it. And that's what got me into RPGs. I didn't even know what an RPG was. My one nerd friend played Chrono Trigger and we made fun of him for it. And then afterwards, like, what? We're sorry. You're actually really cool. RPGs are great. We learned from Mario RPG that RPGs are a ton of fun. So I'm excited for people to experience my second favorite RPG. Skies of Arcadia, still the best, but it's so good. It's so much fun. And that's what I'm pumped about. And Wonder, as fun as Wonder was, Poncho, I still want Wonder to be in Mario Maker. Like, because I want to see my favorite creators mess around with the dash shoes, mess around with all of the new things they added. So all of what they added is more exciting to me than the game itself. I loved the game, it was fun, but I want Kaizo versions of these and not just, can you find all 3 coin versions of these and you can't even use the coin. But that doesn't
I want the elephant suit in Mario Maker.
Oh man, there's so much you can do with all the bubble suit is terrifying. Can you imagine like some of the creators making you use the bubble suit accurately? It'd be a blast. It's been a fun ride. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. So I actually didn't get Mario Wonder. I just watched people play. One of the people who I watched the most play was actually you, Ashley. But yeah, I don't know. As I said, I haven't really gotten into a single player Mario since Super Mario World. I'm a Mario hipster in that regard. Although it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty fun. I miss when Nintendo made like harder games though. Like I feel like SMB3 was actually like a pretty challenging game to beat. You know, some people might be like, no, that was easy. I thought it was pretty hard and I was pretty good at video games. In SMW, I guess once you get the cape is game over. But I just people would probably be surprised that I haven't played single player Mario past that, you know, with how much Mario Maker I play, but I don't know.
Same here.
They sell well though, because like it's so accessible to everything. But they always had, even when Super Mario World was easier than Mario 3, they kind of countered that with Donkey Kong Country. And now you have these platformers that are nails hard, and like to this day, like I've played some of the hardest Kaizo levels and I'm still terrified to pick up Donkey Kong Country because some of those levels and secrets are just so mean and so much fun.
Really?
Even modern releases of Donkey Kong, like Tropical Freeze, gets pretty tough towards the end. Like not just the levels, but like the bosses.
I love Tropical Freeze.
I thought Tropical Freeze was harder than any of the first 3 games. Like the first 3 games, maybe it's just because I played them a zillion times. But when I played Tropical Freeze, like the difficulty went, you know, pretty high near the end. It was fun. I really liked that game.
I think the first 2 Donkey Kong Countries, there's just specific levels that overtake the entire game in my head. Like anytime like the Bramble Scramble or whatever, like things like that, where I get so much anxiety thinking. So even though most of the game is a breeze, I think of that stupid level in the gauntlet. You have to go so far, and I'm sweating right now. I never sweat. I'm sweating just thinking about it.
I feel like some of the Blizzard levels in Donkey Kong Country 1 got pretty hardcore. I remember 6-year-old me was just like, whoa, I can barely see anything on the screen as there's just... It was good there. And
those secrets, man. The fact that you have to get the ostrich in the middle of the level and then fly all the way back, and then the secret in the secret level to get that 101%. Rare was, man, back in the day, Rare was amazing. And like so much trollage. The fact that they had cheese all through, what was that, Perfect Dark? There was cheese everywhere through the game for no reason. Doesn't do anything. Just figure it out. And then Banjo-Kazooie had all those like, here's a secret. It's not a secret. It's just... what they put, like, something in Conkers they put that you just couldn't get. Like, find the secret chocolate so you can't get it. Sucks to be you, nerd. I miss stuff like that.
I think it was Donkey Kong Country 1. There was the one level where you walk in and you just go left and it like pretty much takes you to the end. I think it was the stop and go station. Was it stop and go station? My memory could be failing me here, but
sounds right. Yeah.
The Japanese version of that, you could actually kill the jerks, which like when I saw that on a YouTube video, I'm like, I wanted to kill those jerks so much. They're jerks.
I remember when I unlocked the special world or the secret world in Donkey Kong Country 3, I was so proud. Like you have to just do like donuts around the volcano and eventually it pops up. And I remember eventually when that happened, my mind was blown that I unlocked it because I knew there had to be something more. And yeah. It was fun. I feel like now that'll never happen with like the internet and everything just being spoiled, but like
they can still
stumbling upon
like sneak stuff in there like a little bit because I love watching those videos where like this took 10 years to find and it took to the point where like one of the devs of the game just straight up said you have to do that. I love stuff like that, and I agree, there's not nearly as much.
People will mine it. People know about the secret before like it's even eligible. Like somebody's like mined the update. They're like, oh, there's something here. Like this is this texture here, which is available in this level. And so like data mining has sort of ruined a lot of Easter eggs.
There was that awesome feeling of like, man, can you get the Triforce in Ocarina of Time and things like that you kind of just know you can't. Sorry.
So, confession, I've never played a Zelda game in my life. And this is something that like people thought I was trolling on stream. As I said, I'm simple. Like I played Donkey Kong, Mario, Unreal Tournament, and like those were just the games that I mostly played. I never played Zelda. I legitimately thought Zelda was the elf dude. I legitimately thought that. And people are like, no, that's Link. But that's like naming Mario Peach. Like the Peach series. Why would you name it Zelda if it's the elf dude who everyone associates it with? And that's like you won't change my mind on that one.
Did you ever play as Metroid? That's a good one too. Where
I also got in trouble with that one. I played Metroid as a kid. But somebody was like, "Oh, do you like Metroid?" I'm like, "Yeah." I called Samus Mr. Metroid, and everybody's like, "Excuse me?" And they're like, "Samus is not a Mister." I'm like, "I don't know. It's just an outfit, like a space outfit. How was I supposed to know?" And that was another thing that came up on stream where I wasn't even trolling. I just didn't know. I thought Zelda was the elf, and I thought Samus was Mr. Metroid.
You might enjoy A Link to the Past. Like it's an adventure game, but it's mostly action, and it can be pretty tough, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Some of the bosses are actually very challenging, and if you play later Zelda games, you're not going to die. They're going to hold your hand except for like Breath of the Wild, but still you start like 2 inches ago.
I want to play Zelda at some point. I don't know when, but at some point I want to go through and play them. Even the platformer one on the NES.
That one's fun.
I'll get around to it and play it at some point. Zelda 2.
Zelda 2, one of my favorites. One of my
Zelda
absolute
2,
favorites.
it's like a blend. It's like Castlevania-esque, and it's an interesting thing that they put out.
It's a difficult
That's the vibe
game.
I'm in now.
Very polarizing.
I
polarizing.
love games that do something new that haven't been refined yet. And so I've been playing a bunch of Nintendo 64 games where like they have not figured out how to make 3D fun yet. And for some reason I am having so much fun watching them try. Like so I'm playing Mystical Ninja on the 64 and loving every second of it. I think it is hilarious. I am having a blast. And like I miss that so much because every game is almost so refined now that I know exactly what I'm going to play before I play it.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. No, I agree.
I mean that's kind of what I was talking about with like H1 earlier, where just games that like lack polish, sometimes they're more fun. And I mean, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're awful. But every once in a while, like they hit that perfect balance of, don't really know what to expect.
And like there's something to it. There's something fun. Castlevania on the 64. If you ever want to have a good time, like there's jank, there's weird, there's terrible decisions made along the way, but it's different than what you've played before. And that's why I enjoy it. And I've had a blast with like. Just going, I would love to play PlayStation 1 and 2 games. Like, I'm in that mode where I'm kind of sick of everything that's coming out is so cookie cutter and the same.
It is.
Starfield is amazing. I already played it 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I need something new and completely different.
Right.
Do you know what I can't reconcile? I can't reconcile the N64 being referred to as retro. Because like as a kid, the N64 was like the new thing that's coming out. And now when people are like, oh, N64, that's retro. Like for me, my definition of retro was always, like NES, Super Nintendo. And anything forward, I'm like, oh no, that's pretty new. People are like, dude, that's like 30 years ago. I'm like,
yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Yeah, it is at that retro line. Absolutely.
Like for me, like anything once they moved to 3D, it just didn't feel retro. But yeah, when I go and I crunch the numbers and do the math, it is indeed retro. I just like in my head I hear N64. I'm like, oh, that's that new console, And
Ocarina of Time is like 25 years old now.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's funny. Right before the episode, Pops, you were talking about you're playing like Mystical Ninja and stuff, and it's like a game that doesn't really like it doesn't hold your hand telling you got to go here, and stuff like that. I'm playing a game for the first time right now, offline. That's been on my list for a while. It's called Control, made by Remedy, who makes the Alan Wake games, Max Payne 1 and 2, and Quantum Break, stuff like that. But this game, I'm playing it, and it's a modern game, came out within the last few years. And it's one of those ones where, like, okay, it says, find this room. Okay, it's kind of Metroidvania-esque, and you have these layers to go through. And it just says, find this room. And the only way to do it is, like, the whole game takes place inside this giant corporation. It's like a labyrinth of a corporation that is constantly moving and shifting walls and stuff like that. And the only way to really navigate is to literally look at, like, in an office, you'd look at the walls and it would say, research this direction, executive area this direction. So it's like you actually have to look at the walls. There's no marker that you just got to follow or a line you got to go through. And it's like, it's kind of weird because, like, for so many years, decades almost at this point, you've been playing games where it's just like, here's your marker, go there. I mean, like, think about, like, today, November 11th, 12 years ago today, Skyrim came out, right?
Oh,
and that
yeah.
was one that was like, great game, but, like, it was very much like, just follow the line, go to the dot, and you'll do exactly what you need to do.
I liked Oblivion
it's
better.
weird coming back to that type of game.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird, but refreshing at the same time.
I miss just having new experiences, like going from Nintendo to Super Nintendo, so much changed. Super Nintendo to 64, so much changed. And then 64 kind of felt like PlayStation 2 and 360 is kind of where innovation stopped. Because I remember Morrowind had that where the mission was like, go to the third tree on the left right-hand side. And I'm like, that's not English, buddy. There's no such thing as the left right-hand side. And you would spend the whole day on the mission trying to solve it. But then they're like, okay, let's streamline it with the dot. And Oblivion had that in Skyrim. And, like, I'm trying to think the last time where advances in technology meant advances in the gameplay. And, like, motion controls, they made light gun games fun, and Wii Bowling was a banger. That was awesome. But then the rest of it was kind of like, all right, the controllers are still more fun. It's been a while since I've played something brand new. And now I'm kind of just, I have to go back and play the jank weird stuff to get that vibe and that feeling.
I think it plateaued, but I think what people were thinking would be the next thing would be VR, but it just never really took off. Like, I think that would be the jump from where we are now onto something else. But I think due to, like, price point and quality of games, I think most people just didn't really get into it.
Yeah.
Like, VR is one of those things that, like, there are things I would like to try, but that's it. I want to try it. Like you said, the price point, you're looking at, PSVR 2, like, for example, you got to buy the PlayStation 5, which is like a $500 entry. And I think the VR 2 is like $300 or something on top of that. And then you have what's mostly just like mini games for the most part. You got a couple good ones sprinkled in that are pretty cool games, or whatever, the HTC Valve, stuff like that. Like, there's good games that are there, but it's mostly shovelware mini games. That's like, okay, this is kind of a fun experience, I guess, but not for, the investment of a PlayStation 5 and the headset on top of it. It's like,
at that price point,
and maybe that's why we're not getting such great games, is because people aren't buying it because there's no attraction really.
Yeah, at that price point, you need someone's girlfriend to have dumped them, and then search.
Yes,
I think, like, a game
that's the only way to get into VR at this point. You got to check Kijiji or Craigslist, and
I feel like if a game's fun with motion controls, it's fun in VR. And we learned from the Wii, that's a very limited amount. Like, I would love a light gun game in VR. Would be super cool. Light gun games on the Wii, a ton of fun. Wii bowling, VR bowling. I would love to just chill out in a bowling alley with a bunch of strangers and just go up there, roll my shot with just my hand. Like, that's still a ton of fun. But then as soon as you start getting into more precise gameplay and things like that, motion controls, and I feel like VR is the same thing. Like, you have to sacrifice certain things to make it fun. And I think it's kind of like an extension of the Wii. It's like, that's my thoughts on VR. as someone who hasn't played too much of it.
I almost got VR just because of one game, and you can all probably guess which one it is. Beat Saber. I almost got it just because that looked it looked like so much fun, just whacking the stuff with the saber, and but then ultimately I was like, I cannot justify this price point just to play Beat Saber, and so I never got a VR headset.
Makes sense.
The rest is history. But yeah, that was the one game where I said to myself, like, this looks really fun. Like, I would enjoy this. And then also I was thinking in terms of if I stream it on Twitch, just with how weird, companies can be about DMCAing and stuff, and it's like, what songs could I even listen to? And then so ultimately,
especially modern day Twitch. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody get banned on Twitch for music. It's always like there's this thread of it, but I don't think I've ever seen it happen.
People accumulate strikes, and some people have been wiped out for a couple years as a result of it. But I mean, again, I also would worry about companies going outside of Twitch, like, oh, you're broadcasting our content, they could, in theory, sue you for that. And so I'm like a simple person where I just, outside of occasionally poking Nintendo with ROM hacks, I'm a good boy on Twitch.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the community as far as strictly to Mario. Got some cool releases coming up. It'll be a fun time on Twitch. Always is, but it's always cool when something big is on the horizon, and there definitely is some big stuff coming up here.
Yeah.
I'm
excited. I was just gonna say, like, release day of something like Grand Poo World. I feel like the directory is gonna be lit. Like, there's just gonna be a ton of people playing that. Like, I like that, opening day feeling of something like that. And it's kind of cool that, like, you get that for games like Mario Maker, and then there's just some ROM hacks that are highly anticipated. And I think it's just neat that there's gonna be that excitement going into it.
The execs sitting in Nintendo headquarters being like, how come when Mario Wonder comes out, we get this type of viewership on Twitch, but when this Grand Poo World 3 comes out, it's way bigger? What is going on?
Yeah.
How do we sue this?
Yeah, right. How do we get money out of this?
Oh, man.
With that, I think we're going to start wrapping up a little bit here. We're coming up on our time here. First off, let's do, we can do a quick roundtable. Does anybody have anything that they wanted to, that we didn't get to earlier, that they wanted to mention or something? I can think of one thing for me is that I just recently played through Resident Evil 1 through 4 on stream. I played 4, never did 1, 2, or 3. They were all the remakes. I had an absolute blast on them. 1, I'm a little salty on because I got
the bad ending.
Yes. Spent all that time, and then I was like, this is the ending. It kind of did throw a bit of, it kind of did ruin a bit of the game.
Is it RNG, or did you just do it wrong?
Apparently I did it wrong. Apparently I didn't.
Okay.
I mean, there's one particular choice that's like the only choice I had to make in the game. I chose wrong.
You chose poorly.
And there is no indication. Yeah, and due to that, there's no final boss. Basically, I got no final boss. We just all took off in a helicopter. It was like, wee, yay, there's the mansion, whatever. Didn't even blow up. And I was like, all right, this is the ending I got, I guess.
It's good stuff.
I still had a fun time with the game, but I'm a little salty on the ending that I ended up getting.
It was such a fun thing to watch. So I watched every stream that you played Resident Evil, and your community is gonna be talking about those playthroughs for a long time to come. It was like really cool that you got to play so many of them in October, and despite the ending of that one Resident Evil, overall I had never seen Resident Evil gameplay. It was really enjoyable.
The order to play Resident Evil clearly in 1 through 4 is start off with 4, 2, 3, 1. That's the order that I played it in this past month. So I highly recommend that. That's the order to play it in.
Not a lot of cliffhangers there.
Yes. Yeah, there are. Resident Evil 4, incredible. it's still incredible. The remake, absolutely amazing. Personal game of the year for me right now is that one. Had a real blast playing that. That's crazy to think that game just still came out this year.
Yeah.
Time is weird. With that said, we're going to transition into the outro portion of our podcast. Before we do that, tune in, guys. Next month is December. For those who are listening, we will be doing a December podcast. We'll be doing something a little different. We'll be having doing some new stuff on here. So definitely tune in for that. Different and new. We have some ideas. We have some plans. That should be the first weekend in December, I think. We're working on the schedule. We'll definitely let you guys know. We will definitely let you guys know. With that, let's go around the table. Let's see, where can we find you guys? We'll start off, Ashley. Where can we find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/Ashley with 2Es_FL. I stream Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday nights, and I just added Retro Sundays, which has been super fun. I'm on YouTube and Twitter or X or whatever we call it these days. The same handle. I put out weekly content as well on my TikTok, which is Ashley_Florida, all spelled out. And while I have the floor for a moment, can I just say, Paco, thank you for being here with us today. You are a legend. You are such a big role model for me, and you took the time. What a great episode, and thank you so much for joining us today.
I had a lot of fun, so thank you for inviting me. And honestly, this was great. Happy to be here.
Well, while you're talking, Paco, where can our listeners find you? What are you doing online? Where can they find you?
So you can find me Twitch TV/TheIncrediblePaco. Right now, I'm streaming just once a week on Tuesdays. But, going forward, hopefully I add another day. But I mostly do Mario Maker, and that's where you can find me on the internets. Also, if this is outros at the start, you guys were talking about movies, comedies. I'll do a recommendation. I don't know if any of you have seen Role Models, but that is probably my favorite comedy. And if anybody's listening to this, we were talking about taking recommendations. If you haven't watched it, you watch it, you find it unfunny, you can leave, hate mail for them and be like, wow, that movie sucked. Your guest sucked. And I regret watching it. But yeah, Role Models. 2 thumbs up for me.
I second that. That movie is very good. Very good. Pops, where can our listeners find you?
Cheese Pops on the Twitch. If you can't find me, just add an extra P somewhere. You will find me. The Cheese Pops with the appropriate amount was already taken by a dude, so I just added a P instead of an underscore. There we go. And then YouTube, same thing. I just dropped a 3-hour YouTube video where it's nothing but checkpoints and clears. Get there quick because it already has 3 views in 12 hours. You're going to love it. It's top brand content. And yeah. My mom says I look handsome in it. So that's all I got. Also, wait, no, one more thing. If you come to my stream, I've learned a valuable lesson today, and I find a dev exit in your level, I am going to tear you a new one. I'm done being nice with dev exits. I'm done. I've learned from the greatest. So don't be coming to my stream with your dev exit levels, little Timmy. All right, that's it. That's all I got.
And you can find me twitch.tv/PanchoTaco. Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. All of those nights doing a plethora of things. I feel like these days, having a real good time, though. But come on in and join one of those nights. Have a good time. For our listeners, again, we did talk about how next month we do have something special kind of going on. You can always leave us a voicemail. We are accepting text messages now at 402-915-1082. If you have some feedback, if you have complaints, those get deleted immediately. If you have constructive criticism, deleted. If they're about Cheese Pops, we do save them, though, and we do read them and share them amongst the community, however.
The only way I'll learn.
You can also, it's the only way. And if you do have if you do want to send it via email at arcadeparlorcast.com. And you could be on our next episode. With that said, I think this has been episode 15. Paco, thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome.
Again, thanks for having me. It was great.
If you're listening or if you're watching this live, thank you for watching this live first off. And if you're listening to this, thank you for listening. Definitely check out The Incredible Paco on Tuesdays. Check out that stream playing some Mario Maker. And one last thing before we sign off is you have a million things to do in your life. Put them all away. Go to your favorite podcast app, search up Arcade Parlor and give us 5 stars. Throw everything else aside. 5 stars. That's what we're looking for. Otherwise, I don't know. We'll find out. We know who's not giving us 5 stars. We'll find out. We'll get you. Yeah, exactly. We'll get you. With that said, again, Paco, thank you for joining. Ashley, Pops, thank you for being on here as well. We will see you guys all in December. Adios. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sorry about your relationship, but thanks for the Wii U. It's such a good line. That warms my belly.